Hi guys, thank you YP and Jesse for inviting me here, and gosh, thank you everyone for showing up at 7 o'clock on a beautiful day and wanting to learn about ADUs and DADUs. Just a quick show of hands, just so I know who I'm speaking to. Do you guys, anybody in here invest in real estate right now? Anybody have bought a DADU project yet? 3 people. Amazing. Has anybody built a DADU yet? You're about to? All right, cool. All right, well, that's good. At least I know who I'm talking to. Um, I'm just gonna start with a little story about how I got, here, if you guys don't mind. So the story of how I came to America is kind of interesting because, of course, if you knew, there was a war called Vietnam War, and then one of my uncles had to escape by the boat and came to America and eventually got one of the nonprofit to sponsor my family on my dad's side to come to America. And that's where I guess my mom had a choice to make of whether, because my dad passed away when I was 4 months, so my mom had a choice to make, which was 3 choices. One, she would come with me and my 2 siblings, all stay in Vietnam and not be able to come to America. Or the third option is she gave up her parental rights and let one of my uncles adopt me and my brother and sister to come to America. And so she chose the third option, which for me, it's, sometimes you wonder, why did your mom make that decision? But again, I think it's a blessing that I got the opportunity to come to America. So we moved to Seattle in the Rainier Vista neighborhood. It's a low-income neighborhood in Rainier Valley. I was raised by my grandmother. And then, growing up, being on food stamps, I basically looked for any job that I could look for to make money to buy toys, candy, or whatever else that, my grandmother couldn't afford to give me money. So I worked at Safeway when I was 15 years old, did a little newspaper route around the neighborhood. Then I put myself through college through UW for my undergrad and my master's. And then along the way, of course, you run into people and you run into, people recommend you books to read. And one of my professor at UW was actually, he just was talking about investments and rental properties. And then I have friends that had rental properties. And then somehow I came across the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that book actually changed my life. And that's when I started looking for passive income. So then that's when I first found my first 2 duplexes in Tacoma on 66 and Madison. That was probably in 2004. That's if you know, that's when you can get a loan just by breathing. So the first duplex we bought 100% with no money down. The other one was 90%, just so I only had to put 10% down. And then after that, we started doing more flipping, wholesales. But I did this all while I was doing, I had a full-time job in IT. And so eventually, the flips that we were doing, we were tearing it all the way down to foundation and building it back up. And so then it got to a point where we were building $1 to $2.5 million houses. Like, for example, this farmhouse in Wedgwood, we bought this lot for probably around $550,000 and built that, sold it for 1.7 in 2019, and then just last month, the owner sold it for 2.5. So you only had to live in there for 5 years, and you would have made like $650,000, man, tax-free. For 500,000 would have been tax-free, but. So, definitely real estate, the longer you stay in, you're definitely going to make money. So, and then another one that we built in Admiral with an awesome view of Puget Sound. This one we bought for 409,000, sold for 2.1. And then about around 2019 was when, I was doing my comps and just looking on the MLS. And then I saw this listing that was just stood out. And it was like this little house that was about 1,000 square foot. And the address was something, something, pound sign B. And I was like, what does that mean? Is that an apartment? And how did this, developers sell it separately? And I didn't, I started digging in, to just figure out how were they able to accomplish that. And so eventually I got to meet the developers, chatted with him, and what they did was they basically condoed it and be able to sell it separately. And so that's when I start digging into more of like what is possible. And that's about the same time when Seattle did an upzone, of all the neighborhoods, meaning some of the zoning in the neighborhoods were, let's just say, SF 5000 or SF 5000, and they upzoned it so that now it's like RSL, which is residential small lot, or LR zoning, which is low rise density, so that you're able to build, instead of just one house, you're able to build multiple townhouses. And so, when that was announced, I think everybody was excited. And all the homeowners was like, "Oh God, I wish I win the lottery and to get my lot to upzone." But actually, that actually backfired, because now all the LR zoning and RSL zoning, you have to pay something called MHA fee to develop it, which is an increase on top of permit fees and all that. So that actually caused the permitting for townhouses to just go down like this from 2020 to like now. It's like there's hardly not that many townhouse developments, so you don't see that. And so then that made all the builders and developers running to this type of development, is the single family ADU and DADU development, because currently there is no MHA fees, and it's just a different type of product, and the buyers seems to like this way better than townhouses. So that's why around 2020, when I found out that deal, and then I started looking into it, we started pivoting over from the luxury single family over to building all of this type of products where you can do the SFR DADU or SFR ADU DADU. And so right now we're currently building about 42 doors of the DADU play in the townhouses in Seattle and some in Kirkland. So just to explain what a DADU is, it's, you call it a accessory dwelling unit, or a DADU is detached accessory dwelling unit. And that's a mother-in-law, a cottage. There's a lot of different names, but basically something that you can build in your backyard. But before 2020, you could build a DADU, but it had to be owner occupied in in the DADU or in the single family. You had to have a parking for it. You had to. There were some other restrictions, and then the square footage could be up to like 800 to 1,000, depending on which city you're in. But mostly in Seattle and King County, you can go up to 1,000. And then like Bellevue, they don't allow you to have detached ADU. So it could only be a attached ADU. So those are the restrictions currently. So when you're looking at a DADU, I mean, what do you look for, right? I mean, so for me, not for me, but the minimum lot size is 3,200 square feet. But I would suggest that you try to look for something even bigger, maybe at least 4,000 square feet, because you don't want to cramp 3 units in and make it so unappealing that you can't have walkways to the 3 different units, and of course parking. You want to try to fit in parking if you can, because it just makes it easier for you to resell. And then of course there's things called ECA, which is environmentally critical areas and steep slopes. In Seattle, there's plenty. Outside of Seattle, you have flatter lots, so that might not be as much of a concern. But if you do run into those type of lots, I'm not saying that it's not buildable, but it'll just cost you more time and also more money because you might end up putting like pin piles, which is like steel pipes, in to be able to put your foundations on it just to keep it from sliding down. So just those things that I would try to avoid if it's your first one or first 5 projects. Try to learn with some easier flat lots before you get into more of the lots with nice views and stuff. Like the one that I showed you on Admiral, that one actually has a very steep slope, and we put in probably about I think about 60 pin piles, and they're like 1,000 each pile. So like you just jackhammer the pile in down. The other one is trees. How much trees is we all love trees in Washington, right? So for you before you release your earnest money or during your feasibility study, is that you want to look at the tree, ask the arborist to come out if you're not familiar with the code. I'm not saying that it's not buildable on the lot or you're not able to take it down, but it's always good to spend that $100 to $500 to get an opinion from an expert like an arborist to see which tree can be taken down, because that all affects how you are able to lay out the design of your DADU, your ADU. So that would be money well spent. And if you're looking to a project, if your project is to buy an existing house and remodel it, you want to be able to make sure that it doesn't sit in the middle of your lot, because if it does, then you're left with just the backyard and the front yard, but you usually cannot develop in the front yard of your lot. So if the house sits in the center of your lot, you have very little space left to develop a DADU. So because you still need to have a setback and all that. So be careful when you're looking to buy a project like that. But if you're just scraping that house and building up all 3 new, it doesn't matter where the house sits, because you're going to demo it and build up 3 new ones anyways. And of course, the big plus would be if you had a corner lot or an alley, and I'll explain a little bit more about the alleys. But a corner lot just allows you to be able to build. I'll show you on another slide about a corner lot, but those are going to be big plus for you because it's going to be more appealing when you design the DADUs. So everybody probably wants to know what it costs right at the beginning when you're like developing a DADU. So I put like 3 columns. One is if you're just building a straight one DADU, you're going to keep the existing house, right? If the other strategy is to build a ADU and a DADU and you keep the existing house. And the third strategy is to scrape it, build 3. And this is all my estimate of costs, and it just varies depending on the lot size, how many trees you have, how difficult the site is, if it's slopey or it's flat, then the range of all these guys, all these trades that you need, that's why it varies. And and also the square footage of how big the ADU and the DADU that you're going to build. Usually the architect charges by the square foot. So if you see, if you did just one, you're looking about $15K to $28K out of your own pocket. It doesn't come out from a construction draw. This just comes out straight from your pockets just to get you to the permitting intake. So if you're looking to do a project, a 3-unit project, try to prepare yourself with $50K to $75K to get you there. So how you determine what you can build on a site is something called a lot coverage. And a lot coverage is basically, at least in Seattle, and I think all the other cities too, is about 35% of your lot. So if you have a 5,000 square foot lot, you can only have a footprint of 1,750. Meaning, if you look at the drawing on the right, your footprint of all 3 units that you built has to be under 1,750. So this one, there's a little bit more, is because we have an alley, and if you have an alley, you get that's the plus. that I was talking about, the big plus is that they actually allow you to count the square footage of the half of the alley into your allowable lot coverage. So you're able to build a bigger footprint if there's an alley. So like if you were buying an existing house and that house is like 1,000 square foot rambler, and that's just a big rambler, right? So it might take up like 1,000 square feet of the footprint. So you're left over with maybe 750, which is 750 is probably good enough for a DADU because usually we do a 500 square foot footprint. So then it would leave you very little, about 250 left for an ADU if you really wanted to do an ADU. But so just be careful about that. If you're buying a project that you're trying to keep the existing house, just check to see what the existing footprint is, and then you can calculate what's left over for you to do the 1 extra unit or 2 extra unit. And if I'm speaking something, and because I talk about this every day, but if something is go over your head, just let me know, slow down, or I can answer questions now. I don't know. You can ask. No, I want you guys to all understand this. The reason why you want to do this strategy is because so that you can condo it and be able to cash out refi 3 units. If you didn't condo it, the bank would look at this like a triplex. So they wouldn't be able to pull as much money out as if you were to divide up the 3 units, and they will each have their own parcels and they will each get their own bank loan. So that is why anybody would want to do this strategy. Even if you're not going to sell it, you still want to do the condo paperwork so that you can pull out, cash out refi, and that is your piggy bank. That's the reason why you want to do this strategy. No, you want to do that after you get the building permit, because I'll get to that point. But no, I mean the condo survey and all that. That's that's part of one of the documents that you need to show. But I can explain that a little bit later. So basically, this is the product that from the last site plan that we did. This is the finished product, and if you see that, it's kind of hard to see, but right here is a powder bathroom that is connecting the SFR and the ADU. And usually, when our projects, the ADU is the last unit to go or to be sold, just because it's always the one that's attached to the SFR, like, but interestingly enough, this one's on like 80th Avenue by Green Lake. Is on a busy street, but this thing the ADU went the quickest. So that was surprising to all of us, me, the agents, and everybody else that was involved. So you can also see in the back here is an alley. And one of the perks about an alley is that look at the driveway. The driveway only takes up a little space. Whereas if you didn't have an alley, you're gonna have to have a driveway that takes up at least minimum 10-foot wide driveway that goes all the way, here to get to the back to the DADU. And so that's one of the reasons why I love lots that have alley, just so that you can just go here and drive up and just park, and it doesn't taking up too much space, and then you can have a wider single family or in a ADU, and of course that's when you make your single family more wide, it's just more attractive because it looks more like a single family home versus a townhouse. It's not about enough space. It's for the SFR and ADU, you can go up to 35 feet. But the DADU is 24. So some example of some of our projects. This one's in West Seattle in Arbor Heights. So we bought this Craftsman, and this was a double lot. So this was on a 10,000 square foot lot. We remodeled this Craftsman, and then we built up SFR ADU and the DADU and another DADU here. That is the Craftsman that we restored, and that is the DADU that was behind the Craftsman. You know, sometimes I think about, oh, why didn't I demolish this and build up another SFR and ADU? But, you know, I think if something we can restore, we'll restore it. And right now we kept both of them for Airbnbs. Airbnb is a different topic all in itself because, man, whew, a lot of work is a lot of work. So this is a different, so I'm going to show you different types of things you can do with a DADU. This one is actually a DADU with a basement. And why I did that is to get around the 1,000 square foot limit. So if you were to build a DADU in fully underground, you cannot have it where, you know, a foot or 2 foot or 3 foot is sticking out from the ground. So you have, if you're going to try to build a basement, you're going to have to build it fully underground. So, and if you have if you're going to have a window, you're going to have a window well like this, and it goes all the way down. So that's not just not as attractive, but again, if you really want more than 1,000 square foot, that's one way of doing it. And this one was in West Seattle. One was just across from that other one, and this one I added a garage. And again, that doesn't count towards your 1,000 square feet. So that's an extra 250 square feet that you can add. That, you know, after you get your certificate of occupancy, you can finish it, turn into a 3rd, 4th bedroom, office, whatever you want to call it. So that's another strategy to get more than 1,000 square feet. So this one we recently almost sold out. And this one is in Maple Leaf in Seattle, around by Northgate area. We purchased this in, I believe, 2021, and the lot size was 12,847, and it's a SF 5000. So the minimum lot size for when you short plat it or subdivide the lot, it has to be a minimum of 5,000. So we short platted that. We bought this for $700,000, including $200,000 to a wholesaler. And so I don't know, you guys know what a wholesaler is, but I was just briefly explaining. So basically, it's somebody that just goes and find deals around the neighborhood. You know, that's their job, is to find the deal, get it under contract, and they usually sell the contract to an investor, a builder, you know, flipper for a fee. And this one definitely, you know, they made quite a bit of money, and so, you know, it was well worth it because I knew the potential of this lot. So I'm just gonna run through the numbers real quick. So the single family, you know, these are the square footage, the bedrooms, bathroom, number of garages, and what we sold for on that side. And then we still have one left that there's this tree in the way that it's keeping people from wanting. We had offers, but both of the offers that was written, I wanted that tree to be taken down, and I'm like, no, no, no. So that one's still on the market, but we did pull out $550,000 in cash for that one. So for me is, you know, it depends on all your strategy, depending on what your strategy is, right? So this one, we could have just kept it and pulled out, in which we cash out refi and pulled out probably at least $1 million. But because we sold most of it, once we sell this one too, we're looking at like 1.9 million in profit. And so you know, definitely depending on all where you are in your taxes and everything like that, it's just the strategy is usually you want to sell your 2 big ones, right? Because that is the one that you don't want to rent out really, and because it's just you don't want people to mess up a big 2,000, 2,500 square foot house, right? So you rather get these 2 sold, and they are the ones that take off most of what you owe in your construction loan. So then that way, with these 4 left, the smaller ones, you know, that way you can rent it out if you have to, you know, traveling nurses, Airbnb, whatever, but it won't be so bad if it was damaged that you know, you can fix it and it won't cost so much. But so again, there's so many different type of strategy where you can sell sell 3 of the big ones and 1 of the ADUs or DADUs, and the rest would be like mostly profit, right? So again, it all depends on what you bought the lot for and your construction costs, right? So it varies from, you know, 275 to 350 depending who you're talking to, which builder you're talking to. So when you guys are looking to getting this built, definitely talk to as many builders as you can, and you know, get a lot of different bids. So there's another project that we are doing. Again, I love Maple Leaf, and I took Kevin. Kevin's been there, so he knows what this one is. This one is, people ask me what is a perfect lot. This for me is the perfect lot because it's just on a corner lot and it's just wide. It's 120 feet wide, okay? So the existing house is 1,800 square feet, is about 1,000 on top and 1,000 at the bottom. And initially, what I wanted to do was turn that existing house into the DADU and then build a single family and an ADU. The city said, no, 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 no. Your basement sits too high up, and we're not going to allow you to do that. And then so I was stuck on this for a while. I think I had this under contract for like more than a year and a half because I was just trying to figure out. I didn't want to demolish the house because I was buying it for $850,000, and I was like, I didn't know if that was going to make sense. So eventually, I went back and forth with the city reviewer, and I'm like, well, can I turn this into an ADU and build and attach a single family to it? And she goes, you know, there is an exception that yes, you can. I was like, why didn't you tell me this 6 months ago? Or, you know, so eventually, this is what we're gonna do: is the existing house on your far right. Then I'm gonna attach it with a closet, and then I'm gonna build a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a single car garage next to it. And the beauty about this lot is that every unit's gonna look like a single family house. As you're driving, you're not driving to the back to the DADU. You're not, you know, going to the alley to get to your DADU or ADU. So we're expecting to be it's going to be a pretty good sale price for this. So we're adding a 2,500 square foot single family, 5 bedrooms, 4 baths, 1 car garage, and then the 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1 car garage DADU. And you don't see a lot of that in Seattle. You see a lot of that in Kirkland, but those are way bigger. But yeah, so 3 bedrooms, DADUs, and you know, it's going to be a lot more appealing. And the thing I think that's going to be more appealing by next summer, when you guys get to be able to develop this outside of Seattle and the rest of the state, is Rambler DADUs, right? Because that's the whole point, is you want to be able to build this DADU that your mother and older folks can use, and you know, you can build your bedroom down on the main floor. That's what I'm looking forward to actually building those type of mother-in-laws and DADUs. So
when you example, you say you put closet and ADU connect this thing together.
Mm-hmm.
When you sell 2 units, what do? You just block it?
No, it's blocked. So basically, yeah, it's blocked. It's just like a wall to that house, and I just built a closet. Oh, you'll see. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like right here. So this is the numbers that the pro forma I wrote, underwrote when I purchased this project. We negotiated another 50K down just because the market was so slow at that time, and then this is my construction costs, holding costs at 10.5. So if you guys have any cheaper money, you let me know, okay? Projected sale price, that existing house, it's about, you know, close to 1,800 square feet minus the 250 for the garage, but we're shooting for that price about close to $1 million. The SFR 1.45, and then the DADU we're shooting for 900K. and I think we'll be able to get that. And so potential profit probably around 950K for that, and that was probably I'd say a 2-year process if you don't count the years before that. We were under contract, so it didn't cost me as far as holding costs. So I wouldn't count that as time against me. But anyway, so I was leading into this. So right now we're able to do that in Seattle and Kirkland, right? This ADU and DADU in the condo. Well, last year, the state passed that you're allowed to do this for the whole state. So I don't know if that didn't get you guys excited. I don't know what is, because so by next summer, all the state need to implement this. Right now, we don't know what to submit to the city. We don't know what is allowed as far as design-wise and setbacks and all that. So we're just waiting. Like I have one deal in Northgate that we picked up. It was seller finance for 7 years. And I was like, no, let me just wait until they actually implement this law so that I can see if I can, oh, not this law. There's another law that I'll talk about. So basically, they're mostly following what Seattle's code is for now. You can do that in Bellevue, Redmond, Bothell. So it's going to be the Wild Wild West next summer. It's because you know why? The reviewers don't even know what to review. You guys we're all going to be submitting designs that they're going to be seeing for the first time, and it's just like, what is this, right? And the thing is, you don't know is that a lot of the planners that has been working there for decades, well, they're all retiring. So now you have a lot of new reviewers in from out of college, and so we're all learning at the same time. So this is great because then we can interpret it together and be like, what do you mean? Why can I not put it here? Why can't I put that there? And they'll be like, you know what? I think it makes sense. Okay. So I think it's a great time actually. So again, so that just means now you can build these ADUs and DADUs and not have to be able to owner occupied either of them or any of them. No parking required. It's like, especially in Bellevue, you know how they only allow you ADUs. Well, it's going to be crazy when they allow you to do DADUs too. So, yeah, I definitely, if you can fit it in, I definitely will put that in the design because that just makes it more marketable, right? Everybody know how hard it is to find parking in high density area. As far as like Kirkland and stuff, you still got a lot of free parking on the sidewalk, so it's okay. And Renton and all that, they got a lot of space, so it's okay to not have parking. But definitely in Seattle, it's like a perk to have a off-street parking, regardless if it's a parking pad or a garage. So, what's more fun than building 3 units on a lot? So before you guys go to sleep tonight, go to Google and just type in HB 1110. I want you guys to read maybe the first 10 links on it. Just read all about it. And then the next day, wake up, you call the city, the planning department, and say, when are you guys implementing HB 1110? Because actually some cities are actually implementing it sooner. I think Shoreline is going to be pretty quick. I think maybe by the end of this year, I heard, but who knows. But again, whether you're in Redmond, Linwood, wherever your city of interest is, call the planning department and be like, when are you guys implementing HB 1337, HB 1110? Because that's when you're going to start planning of when should you buy your lot, right? And so middle housing, I don't know if you guys noticed that you haven't seen a new triplex, fourplex, fiveplex, sixplex in decades, right? You've only seen old fourplexes back in 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Well, that is all about to change, right? it's just yeah. So back to my story about that one lot I had in Northgate. I'm like postponing instead of doing my SFR ADU DADU. I'm just gonna wait until this law passed next summer to see if you can put 4 units, or you can go up to 6 units if you're like a quarter mile away from a mass transit, and you got to make one or a couple of those affordable housing, right? So you can go up. But I mean, that's just opened up just another opportunity for you guys to be developing more than 3 units. Hopefully, they keep away the MHA fees, and they're not going to enforce that on this type of construction. So I mean, that's exciting to me.
Can we still do the clauses thing, like for those stoops, like fourplex? Can we only build like using attached to by closet in between?
I cannot answer because I don't even know what it's allowed, because I mean I didn't make up the law, so I don't know. I imagine it's going to be like just one big building and then just 2 units on. You can do like a stack unit, like a stack duplex on the bottom and the top. That's 4, or I mean I don't know. I think that's what's incredible and amazing, right? Is that we can actually submit anything and they'd be like, oh, that looks like a fourplex, even if you're going to split it up, or it could be 4 detached. It could be 4 detached DADUs that they call it a fourplex. So we don't know yet, but that's the exciting part, is like we can sort of make up our own rules right now. So before I go to the next slide, is let's talk about this condo process, okay? So once you guys get your building permit for your DADU. Oh yeah, they're all over. No, so that just means you can build bigger houses. But I don't know if, but I don't think it means you can build more units. Yeah. So like a 9,600 square feet, you can build that's just the minimum lot size, but you can still only just do 3 for the SFR ADU DADU product. But if you're talking about the, HB 1110, it's 4 to 6 still, but just bigger units. Yeah. So they're basically doing away with single family zoning next year, like no more of that, right? So back to the condo process, is once you get your building permit, you want to start working maybe towards the middle of construction, is working with the land use attorney, the condo attorney, to draw up your CC&Rs to form your HOA. And then that's when they'll give you a checklist of things that, do you want a clothes hanger? Do you want people to be allowed to Airbnb this? Or do you want, so you get to make up all the decisions of what this 3 unit's gonna be able to do and not do. And then after that, you will have to have your surveyors come back out and do a condo map. And that's when they're gonna draw up where the unit lot lines are and where the common elements are, like where the walkway is for them to get to the mailbox, or all the driveway. That's common element. So that's all shared by the 3 units, right? So then after that, they'll form a HOA, and that's something that you can charge as little as $5 a quarter or $25 a quarter. So it's up to you to make that. But for me personally, I try to keep it as low as possible because nobody wants to pay HOA, right? And everything is brand new anyway, so there shouldn't be any problems. And then you'll form the HOA association, and once you start selling your units, once you sell all 3, you'll have a transfer meeting from you yourself to the 3 new owners with the attorney. They'll transfer, and that they'll pick a president, a treasurer, and a secretary. So, because one thing I don't know, you guys know, is that at least in Seattle, is that the water bill, sewer, and garbage bill is on one bill. It's Seattle Public Utilities. So right now it's shared by all 3 units. So they sort of they have to split the bill, and that's every 2 months or so. But what I do is we normally put in a sub-meter in the water meter lines for all 3 units, and they either can go there and read it, or you pay for a remote service, which is quite expensive. It's like $140 a month for sub-meter solutions to be able to read on your phone. So, but we just keep with the manual version. Just the new homeowners can decide if they want to upgrade that for themselves. But other than that, PSE, Seattle City Light, they have their own meter, so that's separate. As far and then mostly outside of Seattle is PSE runs the electricity for Kirkland and Bellevue and stuff, so they probably should all have their own separate meters as well. And other than that, that's it. As far as the condo process goes, it could go as quickly as you can get your condo process documents done in probably 2 weeks if you respond quickly to your attorney, and the survey company is not very backed up, then you probably can get it done pretty quickly. So I wouldn't wait till the last month or so. Just try to get ahead of it. And if you're not going to change anything as far as landscaping wise, then you probably can get a head start on the condo docs. And that for me is, we're always looking for investors because we're trying to scale up and getting ready for the next summer. If you guys have some idle cash, IRAs, or rollover 401ks because somebody's been laid off or something.
So what the amount you're looking for?
We look at for a minimum of 50K, and we do equity partners, or we do just simple interest loans. And this is all maximum. There is no maximum. We're gonna take over the whole Washington if there's no maximum. No, at least if we're doing equity, at least 20% of what you invest in. And this way, for you to be able to, follow along the process, you're able to see the numbers, check on the sites, go and learn about why we order what we order, the materials and everything. So it'd be a good learning process, but not as much risk. Then of course, if you're looking to do your own project and you're just looking for someone who can help you answer along the way to hopefully shortcut your process and try to cut out your mistakes, then we also offer some coaching and also maybe help you find a deal. Depending on where you guys are looking, you let me know, because we do come across deals a lot from people, but again, some are not in my area of interest, or it's just maybe I have too much on my plate. So I can definitely refer those deals to you. And that's it. Just stay connected.
Thank you, Jimmy.